Hello, everybody. My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks. And tonight I'm going to talk about the topic of whether some of us are having more trouble having joy these days, although some of us have trouble having joy, period. And what are we going to do about it? So I hope that you gain something from this topic. I'm going to try, that's for sure. So, anyway, you know, first I want to acknowledge that for many of us, this is a time of incredible stress. Life is stressful anyway, you know, but now we have these madmen running the show or people that we really disapprove of what they're doing. And it's kind of hard to feel joyful, oh, yeah, we're going to take over uh, the mineral rights of the Ukraine, and who cares about them? And we won't even include them in our negotiations. And so it's sort of hard not to feel kind of sick. We see attacks on trans people, on all kinds of people, and now we're scared about Social Security. So it's hard not to have some anxiety and upset for yourself, for other people. But does that mean that we can't also have joy? Well, I think we can. I think not only can we, but we must, because we can't hold ourselves together if we keep feeding ourselves a diet of anger and despair and upset. Now, that may not be true for you, but that is certainly true for me. So I would like to welcome you to Lighting the Way with Beth Green and Friends. And friends will be coming on a little bit later after I talk a bit about this topic. We always broadcast on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, and we always appreciate your support when you like or love the show or give it a thumbs up on YouTube, when you share it with others, when you come back, when you make comments. It's all great. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about why it's so hard to feel joy in these days is many of us feel guilty because we are not suffering as much as other people. Now ask yourself if you've ever had that. You see other people suffering and then suddenly you feel like, "Oh, I can't be joyful. I can't have a good time." Well, you know, I get that. It's really difficult to have a party and be happy when you see starving people or you see bombs going off or you see people being arrested or deported. It's like, oh, this doesn't feel like party time. But on the other hand, we're not getting fed those good vibrations that we need in order to keep going. Not only just to keep going as people living on this planet, but also keep going if we're going to be fighting for something different. So that's what I mean when I say we must experience joy and other positive energies in order to not get depleted, burnt out, and just like say, oh, it's awful, and then maybe even give up. So I want to look for a second and I'm going to, put out quite a few reasons that I think that it's more joyful now. It's more difficult now to have joy. Is that in terms of feeling guilty about other people, some of us were actually taught to feel guilty. Like, oh, don't play and yell and be a kid because your mother has a migraine or your father happens to be he got drunk last night and now he's got a hangover, or your mother for that matter. Can't you see that I'm in the middle of something, working hard? Stop having making so much noise. So I think a lot of us got that kind of feeling as children when we saw our parents overwhelmed and suffering or complaining about each other, complaining about life, and maybe we were actually not going through those experiences and we wanted to be happy and have fun. And we were actually made to feel guilty for having self expression or laughing too loud or making too much noise or just not being sensitive to others. And I'm not saying that we've always been sensitive and shouldn't be more sensitive, but we shouldn't feel guilty about being joyful. And a lot of people were kind of programmed to feel that way. Sometimes some of us had siblings who were disabled, or who were in pain or had developmental issues. And so it's like, oh, how bad do we feel because we're having an easier time than they are? Now, another reason that in general we have trouble feeling joy is that other people will judge you, or you are afraid people will judge you for having joy when everything is terrible. You're not supposed to be. What kind of a person are you? Are you a selfish person? Are you self-centered? Oh, now, am I telling you that you shouldn't be aware of what's going on the planet, that you shouldn't be out trying to help? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, don't say, therefore, you cannot have joy or should not have joy. That's what I'm saying. So some of us are afraid of being judged as being superficial or selfish, or God help us that we're selfish. Now, sometimes we judge other people the same way, so that's going to come back and haunt us, isn't it? Now, another reason that it's sometimes hard for us to be joyful is that our identity is tied up in being miserable or being put upon or having a raw deal, as one of us has often called it. And so, how can we act joyful if our identity is the person who suffers? Oh, yes, I'm suffering for the planet, and I have a migraine. This would be me. And I'm so tired, and I'm sick, I mean, after a while, it's like, okay, this becomes your identity. And so, how are you going to say, oh, the world is going to hell in a handbasket, and I'm going to have fun? It's really difficult because that's not your identity of who you think you are supposed to be. Some of us have never had joy or had very little, even before the Trump administration, even before the onset of autocracy, dictatorship, and more abuse than we're used to seeing. Not that their society wasn't abusive before. We may not even know how. One of the things that gets in the way of having joy is always feeling like we're not enough. We're not doing enough. Oh, I'm not doing enough for the revolution. I'm not doing enough to help my fellow human. I'm not doing enough to save the planet. I'm not doing enough to save the animals. Well, you probably aren't doing enough. Well, what the heck is enough? Does enough mean that you're doing enough to change everything? Well, give it up, dude. You are not going to change everything. I don't care who you think you are. You're just a small part of everything. So you may be able to help in some ways. So you may not be willing to give yourself those positive feelings because you feel like you are because you feel depressed about yourself. You think that you're not enough. I am that. I am definitely that. So I hope that there's more of you out there who are like me. By the way, I hope you're making some kind of notes about these, but you can always come back and re-listen to the show about all of these things. Um, Sometimes because we can't be joyful because we overload ourselves with things that we think we should be doing in order to enjoy ourselves. Oh, I went on this cruise and then we went off to, we traveled and then we came back and then I went to Bali and then, I don't know. Some people it's like amazing. And sometimes they're overloaded. So even on things that you think you're supposed to have fun with. Well, it doesn't have to be that extreme. Oh, I got together with the girls, and I hate that expression, but I'm saying it because people use it. And then we went to the movies, and then we had a drink, and then we partied all night. Well, maybe you're really going to end up feeling wasted instead of feeling joy. And we give ourselves a lot of stuff to feel happy that make us feel terrible. I remember in my drinking days, which I have not had a drink since 1980, thank you God. I always was sick. From the second sip, I was in trouble. But I was addicted to alcohol, and some people are addicted to other kinds of things. And So you're doing things that you think are going to make you happy, help you to relax, and they actually make you feel lousy. And there's one other thing that I want to bring up right now, which is ambition. It's not only ambition to save the world, it's also ambition to get ahead in my business. I'm going to build my business, and it's going to be so fantastic because all these YouTubers tell me all you have to do is X and you will be so successful. And you have all these ambitions and you think you're supposed to achieve, and the person you think you're supposed to be, and you're not. How the heck are you supposed to feel joyful if you've been trashing yourself for not being who or what you think you should be? Oh my goodness. Somebody made a comment, but it's so long. Uh, so I don't think I can read it right now. But another thing is that you may have been able to do something at some point in your life and you just can't do it anymore and you don't want to recognize it. Oh, yes, I used to be able to do this and this and this and this. And so I'm going to try to do this and this and this and this. Well, maybe you're older, or maybe you have 3 kids and you don't have the time, or now maybe you've got more responsibilities, or maybe you're older. Did I say maybe you're older? Maybe you've become infirm. And so you're heaping yourself with things because you don't want to recognize that you have changed. I see this all the time. Maybe you would just rather complain. Why would you rather complain? Well, maybe your family was a family of complainers and you need to fit in with the crowd. So you need to complain too. You have to be as complaining as they are. Or maybe you think that people who suffer are better cosmically, down some spiritual plane. Oh, the people who are suffering more are the people who are better. The really good people are suffering. Uh, Maybe that's part of it. There's other things. Oh my God, there are so many. So instead of me going on and on with all kinds of examples of reasons that it's so difficult for us to have joy, I'm going to bring on my guests in a minute. But I want to say that I want to have joy today. Life is not the way I want it to be. My body is not what I wish it were. My relationships may not be exactly what I'd like. I may not have the money in the bank that I think I should have. I may be appalled. Maybe I am appalled at our government. And I feel like I can't sleep at night because I keep trying to think of ways to make a change. But staying awake at night, worrying and being upset, as you well know, and you could probably tell me the same thing, is not going to help anything. We need to take time to regenerate. Joy, happiness helps us to regenerate. If you really care about doing something about our world, be honest with yourself about what you can do and do it. Be honest with yourself about what does give you joy and regeneration, not what other people say will give it to you, or what your mind tells you, or what your addictions tell you. Oh, yeah, eating sugar, that will make me feel so much better. Find the things that truly regenerate you and make you feel better, and do it. And for the rest, God bless. That's what the whole world is for. You can't do it all. So right now I'm going to bring on my friends. Here is Lizzie, James,
Hello.
and Todd. Okay, it seems like that's all for tonight. So here we are. Okay, guys. What about you? Yes, James.
Well, I really identify with going into being a victim and identifying with that. And so that gets in the way of my experiencing joy. Because if I experience joy, that ruins my sense of who I am and what's going on with me.
Right.
And that also applies to feeling indignant and angry about this or that injustice, the raw deal, etc. And so it's a good wake up call for me to say, wait a minute, that stuff doesn't bring me joy. And what's the gratification in being a victim or being an angry guy? There's no real reward in that except a temporary feeling of power or, I don't know, the victimhood. I'm not sure what the payoff for that is. Powerlessness. I don't have to do anything. I'm not responsible. Other people are responsible.
That's a great observation, James. That's right.
And so I have been cultivating having more joy. Listening to music, singing, making music gives me joy. We just went away on a holiday, and the middle day of that journey was very joyous. We went to a wonderfully dynamic river. We were in nature. We were in a wonderful cabin, and that helped to regenerate me so I could come back and feel more refreshed and ready to carry on with more energy. And it also gives me joy to hold my partner, cuddle, and feel that. And I get regenerated doing that. So those are some of the things that I do that help me to cultivate the joy, connect with the joy, and also look for the positive things. And when I go on Facebook, I like to find funny things, comical things that make me laugh.
Pictures of dogs. For some people, it's cats.
Oh, mine are usually comic book character type people. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we went away for 2 nights. So the first day we traveled, the second day we didn't, the third day we traveled. So you think you're going away for 3 days. You're not going away for 3 days. You're going away for one day. And all the other days you're packing, you're unpacking, you're lugging, you're driving, and so which is part of us looking at what actually does regenerate us. And we've been actually looking at that. Is that something that we at our age are capable of doing? Maybe every other in their 80s couples can handle it, but maybe not me, maybe not us. So, that's part of it, is being that honest with yourself. And I think that's extremely important. But I love what you said, James.
Thank you.
And yes, nature, if you're not getting stung by the bees, bitten by the mosquitoes, getting infected with poison oak. It's like, oh yeah, right. I love my backyard.
Where there's a wonderful waterfall.
We have a wonderful waterfall.
Gives us refreshment.
Right.
Lizzie has her hand up.
Lizzie.
So this show kind of helped me see why I have such a hard time being happy, because just about every single thing you said, I do. Oh my gosh. Oi.
Oi.
Because I will go through, have a revelation, I'll be happy, and then, boy, it doesn't last long.
Yeah.
So many different layers of, like feeling guilty, learned up feeling guilty, learning how to complain. I grew up on a farm of, farmers were always complaining about something and worrying about something. And you had such a huge list, but I don't know if there's anyone that I didn't identify with.
Oh, I
So,
feel so much better.
well, it helps me feel compassion for myself as far as, oh, no wonder why. I've been trying to look at what is going right. And sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't. But I've been going through some things lately, and what helped is just a simple 10-minute meditation of just focusing on my breath. Yeah. And that helped me realize how much I was in a poor breathing pattern, feeding into part of my nervous system that kept me in this fight or flight mode, this constant constant worry and stress and anxiety. And just that little bit helped me feel better for the rest of the day so far. So,
Oh, that's fabulous.
But yeah, and it helped me. Also, I love to dance, and we have a rebounder, and I'm doing that because I have a new health diagnosis, and so I'm doing things to help with that, and getting on the rebounder and playing some music, dancing to it. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't danced in I don't know how long. That's one of those things I love to do. And I was like actually smiling. It's like, wow. So it seems like this, whatever's going on in the world, it's easy to just get pulled down. And then other layers in my life, it's just feeding into that. But it's like, you're so right. It's like, it's so important to take time to do something you love to do that makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
And I love what you're saying. I want to share this because I don't know anybody who doesn't need this.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you said those things. I so identify with you, and sometimes it's just as simple as taking a break. I promised myself in the middle day that James was talking about when we were out of town that I wasn't going to look at the news. It was really hard. I mean, I sort of snuck an eye. But, it's like, I know what's going to rev me up. And I think, honestly, what difference will it make to the world if I know this today?
Right.
Versus if I find out tomorrow. Or even if I never find out. I know what I feel about what's going on in the nation. I know what I can do, which is this. I can write, I can speak. I'm a great little propaganda machine, this came up once. In fact, if you out there happen to be a member of a group that would like to hear from me about our vision, our positive vision, which is that the economy and the society, that the only purpose for having an economy is to make sure that our needs are met, the needs of people and the earth. And that's what it's all about. And we are so far from that it's really hard for there to be a good day in terms of how things are going. And when we see how the billionaires have made enormous amounts of money since Trump became president, and people are being fired, and people are scared, and now people are afraid of Social Security being taken away, and Medicaid and Medicare, and I see it all. And today's news, yesterday's news, in a way, it's all the same bad news. And in some sad way, it's been bad news for a long time. Very little has been done about income inequality when the Democrats were in power. There was Bernie Sanders and AOC and some of the others, but most people did not talk about income inequality, which is destroying our nation and our world. I saw some statistics about the United States versus other countries, and where we are in terms of income inequality is like staggering how bad it is. So I know that, and that's been going on for a long time. So I feel that my job is to help awaken consciousness about what is really wrong and what has given rise to now what it feels like dictatorship or imminent dictatorship, to talk about that and to bring out what could be done, how we should be organizing our society, you see, and that's joyful. If I'm only talking about how bad these guys are and how the terrible things they're doing, yeah, I could get pretty down. But if I talk about this is the opposite of the direction we need to go, and that I still believed it's possible for us to turn things around, and this is what we should be gathering around doing. When I talk about that, I actually start to feel lighter and more inspired. You know, there was one thing on the list that I didn't mention. Well, there is a million things that I could have mentioned today, but one is lack of faith. It's very difficult to feel joy when you have no faith. And I don't mean faith in God, I mean faith in something. Goodness, the amount of goodness that also resides in people. Um, the brilliant breakthroughs of our scientists who are looking at the issues of climate change, which of course is all being shut down by our government. But you know, we don't have to do what the government pays us to do. We can come together and do what we feel is right. Scientists I know are always looking for money, but I invite everyone to say, okay, if you're not getting funded by this corrupt government, well, or by the drug companies, maybe there's other people like you who have the same interest. Maybe we need to start organizing the things that we want, creating the things that we want, and not wait for Uncle Sam to take care of it because Uncle Sam seems to be asleep at the wheel, or worse than that. Anyway, I know, Todd, I haven't given you a chance to talk yet, and I'm sure you have lots to say. And by the way, the person who wrote this very long Ashok, there is nothing wrong. His name is Ashok. He's written something long, and when you watch the show, you can see his comment in the comments. Yes.
Great. Hi.
Hi.
Well, it's so interesting also how quickly it can change. You can go from joy to like, you know what I mean? That happened to me. I got a new keyboard. It's a Bluetooth keyboard. It's not working. I push a key and it puts a I and a Y together. And like, it's totally not working. And I don't know what the story is. It's like, I put the W and it puts the cap locks on. I'm like, okay, there must be some other key that must be pressed somewhere. I was just like, but earlier today, I had a great time. I met some new people. Someone referred me to a new prospective client. He's a woodworker and artist. I met with them and him and his wife, and we just had a wonderful discussion, you know, and they care about the same things that we care about people, you know, and so it was joyful, you know, because it's like that. When you meet people you don't know, that you feel our relations, you know, that to me is a lot about what joy is about for me. It's just that human connection, connecting over shared values. So, and I agree with you. I have to change my my processes, you know, like I have to stop. I get so easily sucked into the news. And so I know I need to just like you said, if I don't see everything, that's okay, you know, because I use it. If I was using it in a constructive way and like taking action to do something that's constructive, great. Yeah, that's fine. But I really have to wean myself off of just getting incensed and riled up, you know, because that's gonna destroy my joy and destroy my ability to be proactive and do the things that I know that I can do. So, yeah, like Lizzie, I fall into the trap of all of those things, making other people wrong. I mean, it's just like, how do you take away your joy? Let me count the ways every
Yeah,
day. Just getting
yeah.
incensed or getting upset over things. So I wanted to laugh at myself about the keyboard. I'll figure it out. I'm sure I will. And my internet still cuts out. I don't know what's going on with that either. I thought it was fixed. It's not. But I just have to okay. Well, next step towards trying to solve this. Because
Well,
otherwise,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think we have
And
an expectation that things will work.
right. I have one other thing that I think I've learned in working with you, and is that hard work can be fun. Like, you don't have to throw the joy out the window just because
Very
you're working
good.
hard. Like, we work hard together at transforming ourselves from the inside out when we're in retreats with you, but we always have a wonderful time. We have fun, we laugh, we cry, but we laugh.
Yeah.
We laugh at ourselves, we laugh at one another, we just laugh through the process, and I think
I
that's
can
so
hear
important.
you, but
Yeah,
Charlie is barking, and I'm
yeah.
going to leave him out the door.
That to me has been one of the things, it's the greatest things I've learned in working with you. It doesn't have to be somber just because you're working hard at something. You can, like, have that shared connection, that vibe, that kind of high energy excitement, and do hard work at the same time.
I could not agree with you more. And by the way, we have a comment from Mohammed who says, with the authoritarian president leaving his government, his people will be feeling relieved and relaxed, madam. Well, that's true.
When is that going to happen?
Nothing must end as far as I know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. My comments forwarded to you, madam, are not being answered. Well, you'll have to wait sometimes, Mohammed, but I just saw this comment and I did answer it. So why Charlie is barking, I don't know. So if you sent me any other comments, I did not see them. I apologize. So anyway, yes. Like I said, I saw that one comment which I did answer. Charlie is going crazy. I agree, and I think the important thing is what you're bringing up now, Todd. And I'm sorry that I
Mhm,
got distracted by the dog, but I was listening.
mhm,
Um, I want to be joyful as much as possible. I want to enjoy whatever I'm doing. And it really annoys me how easily I get thrown off. When you were talking about your keyboard, we have an electric vehicle, and we went up to the mountain, right? And we wanted to, refuel ourselves before we came down.
yeah.
So there was a place, and they said, "Oh yeah, they have an EV charging station there." And we said, "Okay, we planned for that," and so we left, and it was broken. So that same company, and James called them, and they talked, and blah blah blah. So it was broken, and they told him about another place that would be kind of on the way home. So okay, great, we could recharge there. We get there, that one is broken, and so we spent like an hour extra coming home trying to find a way to get the car. And eventually it worked. But I get angry, I get frustrated, and I'm not enjoying myself anymore. And I'm thinking, well, I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. I have my dog on my lap. James and I could be happy and be together, but we're not. You see, if he gets upset about something, that's it. It's done. I'm not happy anymore. And he was really feeling upset, and so I started to feel upset. And before you know it, I wasn't enjoying this. And so I look at, and it could have been me. It's my attitude too.
Hmm.
How often things don't go the way I want them to, and I get angry or upset or frustrated. It's getting in the way of me doing what I want to do, and blah blah blah. All of this. And so, how much of my day have I blown being miserable, being angry,
Hmm.
being upset, being frustrated?
Yep.
So I'm trying to enjoy more. Fewer regrets, fewer, I wish it was a different way, and still lots of spunk and fight for the right things. So that's my wrap up. Anyone else like to make a comment before we close? If you are on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell. If you are on Facebook, please follow our page. We broadcast on my personal page, on my public page, on Facebook, and I hope you go to the public page because it's hard for me to keep track of everything. I have a nutcase dog who's probably barking at some squirrel outside that I don't want. I don't want him to chase it anyway. Okay, I'm going to close the door. And okay, somebody say something else. We're on every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. And
Well, speaking of the dogs, I take these dogs for a walk every day, and I like to observe them, and I get enjoyment of just watching how they move, how they jump around and explore and all of that stuff. And then when they get to running just with abandon, or they go rolling around in the grass, that makes me feel good.
yeah,
So I look for the things that make me feel good, and I emphasize them. That's including walking the dog, but also other things in my life.
good point. And here I am enjoying getting up every 3 seconds, trying to deal with a dog who has decided to bark his head off. So please share this program with everybody you know. Don't feel shy. Go ahead and share. And I want to tell you, our show 2 weeks ago, I just looked, had 150 thumbs up on YouTube.
Yay!
150 thumbs up on YouTube. That is a lot for us. I mean, we've been getting, and that's not on a short. So I've got a short out that I put out before we left town on Monday, which told Donald Trump that he was fired, that he was on probation, and that he's failed because he's not taking care of people on the earth. And so we would really like him to resign and and to pack up his things and leave. I had the most vitriolic comments on that one, but I have to laugh and enjoy that too. Okay, so I think it's time to close. I think Charlie wants to go
So
out.
does Charlie.
Hey,
Charlie's like, "Are you done yet?"
Yeah, I think he wants to go out, and I'm blocking him. So there you go. We love you. We'll see you next week, Barks and all.
Yeah,
Right,
you bet.
bye.
Be
Yeah,
happy.
Bye.
yeah. And music, maestro. Where is the music? Why doesn't this thing work? See, here's a perfect example of something that doesn't work that should.
Ah,